Welcome to Power Women of the Trades podcast. This show is all about breaking barriers and changing the game. Our guests will feature some of today's most successful female entrepreneurs and other advocates of our industry as well. Because if there's one thing we know for sure, female-led entrepreneurship drives change on multiple levels. We want to empower women in the trade industry like you so you can maximize your potential, stay balanced, achieve long-term success, and claim ownership over your life. Let's get started.
I won't listen to anything over 30 minutes.
Right.
I listen to a lot of podcasts. That's what I was telling her. I'm like, I can't talk for an hour. Like, I don't want to talk to anyone that long.
And we've been, if we go over 30 minutes recording, Rita's been chopping them in 2 episodes.
And we got called out. Someone called us out on Facebook
for it, of like, it was a 15-minute episode. And it's like, listen, and it was a man that said it, but I was like, no, I forgot.
White men, I tell you, they get on you.
But it was like, we were like, listen, we're trying to appeal to our audience.
But we get a lot of downloads off 15-minute
Absolutely.
things because it's like women.
It's like a nugget.
It's a car drive
and
time.
digestible.
Yeah. Yes, because
but the average drive time in North America though is about 50 minutes one way. Did you know that?
50.
Yeah.
I used to have
but
a
you know what I'm doing in
50
minutes though? I can't commit. Like if it's 50 minutes and I know it, like Kaylee and I drive here twice a month, right? And I'm working, having her send emails for me. We're having a conversation. A kid calls, so even if the commute's 50 minutes, you're not getting 50 minutes of like head free space, free time. So, anyways, 15 minutes is probably one of our most the most feedback we've gotten.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
Was because the one person was like, I just can't believe it, got right into it in 15 minutes. And it was like, right. But several people were like, that was the perfect amount of time because I was waiting in the car drop off line with my kid. And that's who our listeners are mostly women. Like we are cool with the men listening too. Thank you for the support. But we know that most of us and me, like if you send me, it's like, why you can send me TikToks all day long. Don't send me a YouTube video.
Right.
Oh.
You know?
But isn't that the perfect?
Or now even the 3-minute ones, I'm like, oh, I really want to get through this.
But did you know TikTok has the fast forward option now? I'm like, buzzing through it.
What's a TikTok?
Why do you
I'm just kidding. I don't want to TikTok
yet.
You don't?
No, I just don't have the app on my phone.
Oh, how does it feel?
I was like, wait, there's no TikTok.
I waste my time on Instagram when he sends me stupid shit. And I'm like, all right, I'm good for stupid shit for the day.
We all saw that on TikTok 2 weeks before.
Yeah, see?
Everything on Instagram is like 2 weeks after.
But see, I don't go on it because I run a business. I have young kids.
Is your business not on it?
You should have it.
Absolutely.
It is. I just don't watch it.
You?
No. We have a team that does it, right? And so they post our podcast and they do all those sorts of things. Like, hey, look, if they need me to record something or Evan to record something, they send it over. That's the only thing in our business that isn't replaceable and replicatable is us on camera. Right. Everything else is. And so, but you think about that, like just for me and my time, I don't have enough time in my day to waste or consume, waste is the wrong word, consume the content for an hour, 2 or 3 hours a day or however long you consume the content. Nothing to say that's wrong with your decision. But no, it's up to you. My kids are 6 months and just over 2 years. And then when they go to bed, it's like 7:30, 8 o'clock. We're like, well, fuck, our house is a disaster. Hopefully I can swear on your podcast. Well, fuck, our house is a disaster. Like, okay, we have an hour and a half to ourselves before we got to go to bed. And to feel rested the next day to do it again, let's just do a quick cleanup and then sit there and connect, right? So I'm in the thick of it because I have a 6-month-old and I got a 27-month-old or however old the kid is, right? Like, we're in the thick of it. Yeah, okay, if they're older, maybe a little different scenario.
Do they sleep all night?
The oldest does, the youngest, I sleep all night.
You need to...
No, they do not. The youngest sometimes does, sometimes doesn't. He's in that transitionary period. And so like when we get home, I'm like, all right, let's push it to, training him to sleep all night.
Yeah.
But I think this is a decent topic to talk about as well, is the consuming for creation, or are you consuming for entertainment? Right. So as business owners, like I sit there and I consume, and then I'm forwarding stuff to our social media manager to say, hey, create this for clients. Hey, create this for us. Right, because it's something that's trending. It's a trending sound. It's a
my best
hashtag
things
something.
I send Kaylee. Kaylee's in here. The camera can't see her, but she's our marketing manager for quality.
Yeah,
and I send her things for content. like at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And I was like, is that okay? And she's like, my phone's off. So if I'm asleep, I'm asleep. And I'm like, okay.
That's your responsibility to shut it off.
To her because that's when I can view it.
Correct.
And that's when I like the idea or I saw it or whatever. But that's a really good point. You know, something like to kind of like change a little bit that I really love about you guys with content is you just like recently repurposed content from a podcast that I was on with you guys. Like, I don't even know because my hair was a different color, kind of, and my extensions.
We've been through a lot.
And so I was literally like, what I immediately.
That's why you sent me that message.
Yeah, I immediately sent it to our team and said, I think this is just a good reminder that I didn't even remember what I said. Someone else might have listened to that podcast a year ago, whenever it was, but you guys repurposed the content and put it back out. And I didn't remember what I said. And I was like, man, that was good stuff. I said, you know, like I was like preaching back to myself and it was good, but I don't think everyone does that. You just forget.
Well, and like you think about that, I'd like to go back to your point. Like, I got 3 minutes. Can I hit the fast forward button? Right? Okay. Well, not everybody has the 3 minutes, the 15 minutes, the 30 minutes, the 60 minutes, or the 3 hours to consume that content. And so, if you can take those golden nuggets out, or even in your business, and you take that and you're like, okay, we're recording. You put your timer for 60 minutes. Like we usually do the same on our podcast, 60 minutes. But that one episode, that one hour that you do. Now you can spin that out to do anything with that you want. You can do a 30-second, or you can do a 60-second, or you can do a 90-second, or you can do a
not
YouTube
just
short.
one. You can do multiple 30-second clips. Yeah. Plus, you can create a blog. Plus, you can create social posts. Like there's.
So I think that's interesting to me for a lot of things. So speaking about like on-purpose media, like.
Are we getting down to business?
I mean, we are in business, right?
You're ready.
Everybody's in business.
We're in business. Like, we're doing it right now. But, like, so actually, I don't like the whole introduction stuff, right? But on purpose media, how'd y'all
tell us the story?
What's the story? What is the story? I don't know if we know. How you
started, how you guys know each other, why you decided. I'm always interested in partnerships because that's hard.
Right.
And y'all seem to act like you like each other when we see you. So.
Most of the
Monday
time.
through Friday at least.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
8 to 5.
8 to 4.
So Thad and I met
hours.
selling Cutco knives.
Okay.
I'm wanting to buy some Cutco knives. Okay. Anyway.
I know a rep. I can help you out.
Okay.
Double D Edge. Second time I said that today. But no, we met there. Thad was a sales manager at the time. He was supposed to open an office, didn't, ended up running an office the next year. So I always looked up to him. First time we met, we actually like did a car ride together, and I was like, holy fuck, who is this guy?
We had a car ride together?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, shit.
And
do you remember this?
He didn't shut up at all.
Don't have a clue.
No, he's like, no.
Don't even know what he's talking about here at this moment.
Yeah.
A different role at that time.
Absolutely. It was a different time in your life. But yeah, we sold Cutco knives together, and then he left. I was there for 8 years. I ended up running my own office, did that for a while. That's where I learned a lot of business skills from. And then I got into more of a marketing side of it, doing branded knives, getting them engraved, and then selling them to businesses as gifts. And had a blast doing that. He started doing these magazines, and I actually left Cutco and was a comfort advisor. And sold, So
I was wondering how
equipment.
we were going to transition from knives to the trade.
There you go.
Yeah.
He's got you.
And so when I was running my office for Cutco, I was running Facebook ads in 2009. So this is way back when I was getting clicks for like a tenth of a penny. It was unbelievably cheap. I went into being a comfort advisor in 2014, and all they were doing was Home Depot leads. And so we would only get paid 7% commission on those leads versus 10% on regular leads. But all we had was Home Depot leads the entire schedule. So I asked them, I was like, well, can I generate my own leads instead? Because this is ridiculous. So I took lessons I learned from Cutco, learned how to generate my own referrals. The next week, my entire schedule, I had 15 appointments of just my own leads. I had zero room in my schedule for their Home Depot leads. So then they're upset because I don't have room for that. And at the same time, they're like, how did you do it? So I taught them my script, showed them how I did it. And then I started poking holes in their marketing and saying, why aren't you doing Google ads? Why aren't you running Facebook ads? Why aren't you paying for SEO? Why don't you have a better website? And I had no idea how to do most of it at that time other than Facebook ads. But just poking the holes in it, they grew their business exponentially. And then he presented me with, hey, why don't you come do these magazines? and he was working with a company called Best Version Media at the time, running these local magazines, their neighborhood magazines, targeting affluent neighborhoods.
We say no to all those.
Yeah.
Broken Arrow.
Right.
Broken Arrow.
N2.
Yeah.
You probably saw that.
Yeah. But yeah, he presented me with that opportunity. And again, it was working with home service companies. So I was like, great, I get to work with home service companies, a little bit of real estate agents. Like, this is the blend of all of what I have done so far. And did that for 5-6 years. And eventually was constantly running into the hiccup of, we'd sit down with the company. Hey, tell me about your business. I went on your website, had a good look around, and I sat down with this one woman. She was running a laser hair removal clinic. She's like, what did you think of my website? And I was like, well, it was okay.
She's like, I did it myself.
No, wasn't that at all.
That happens.
Yeah, and you're like, crap.
I paid $6,000 for that website. I can't get a hold of my developer. I have no idea how to make any changes. And I absolutely hate it.
Did she own it?
She didn't. She didn't own anything. Right. And so it was that moment that I was like, I need to do this. I need to jump on it. I was already watching YouTube videos on how to do SEO, how to build websites and things like that. And I reached out to him, and he had just left the company or was in the process of getting ready to leave. And he's like, I was thinking of starting a digital marketing company. I was like, oh, sweet. Me too. And so that was kind of where we started from. But it was out of this need of just frustrations of companies, local companies.
When you started it, did you immediately jump into the trades or?
No, it was all local businesses, whoever we knew locally.
Yeah, and it's actually interesting because November 2019, so we're coming up actually in 4 years of buying the domain, and we worked on the business plan while we were working our other jobs in the evenings and the weekends to be able to say, okay, we know we want to do this digital marketing company. We know that there's some shitty actors in the marketplace because they couldn't reach the developer, right? There's one of 3 conversations that people have. Say, hey, I paid somebody to build my website and do my digital marketing, and now they're gone. I can't get I don't even know where they are. I don't even know who they are. Right? The other one's like, yeah, I paid them and or hey, they're great and they're phenomenal. And there are those companies out there, and don't get me wrong, there's some phenomenal ones out there. But by and large, it was that second category. It's like, And so when we built the business, it was on honesty and transparency, and those were our first core values. And now we've got 5 of them that's built up from it. Honesty, transparency happens to be number 1. But I remember the conversation because you actually business partners are always fascinated by this. One of the conversations that Ev and I had, and we've been acquaintances, we knew each other through a working relationship, but never really on a deep personal level. And now, obviously deep personal level. And if I were to ask the same question, my heart would be broken. But one of the things that I said is okay, great, we'll go 50-50 on this business. But let me ask you this, Evan, is if this business doesn't go anywhere, if it goes tits up in the first little bit, would you miss me in your life? Because if it goes,
no.
Because right, and that's
what did he
that
say?
was a response, right? It was no, because we didn't really know each other,
gotcha.
right? And so, but that was the initial conversations that we had. But through those conversations, a lot of conversations, it was okay. What do you want this business to stand for? What are your core values? What do you want to build? What's our exit game? By the way, that was initial conversations. We have a number in our head that we would consider an exit game. We're probably not going to take it. We'll probably go beyond that because you either build a business to sell it or build a business to leave to your kids and create a legacy, right? Those are my 2 opinions on it. There's probably other aspects of that, but that conversation then became okay. What do we want to do? What do we want to build? What's our core values? What's the essence of what we want to create? And when we had alignment on that, that's when we said, fuck yes, let's do it.
Well, and it was the idea of unequal math.
Yes.
Right. If you're a business partner coming into business together, 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2.
Right.
Because if it just equals 2, then why not just do it for yourselves?
Right.
Right. 1 + 1 needs to equal 3, 5, 10 in order for it to actually make sense. And it's by bringing together opposites in terms of what are your strengths.
How are you guys opposite?
So we did the Gallup Clifton Strengths Assessment once with a good friend of ours, Nick Johnstone. And I am a bulldozer. I come in, I'm like, why the fuck didn't you do this? God damn it. They're do your shit. It's not that hard. It's just work. Right. Right? Do your work. And that's kind of my essence of things. Also checking that now. I realized this after I saw that. It was because and it's actually painted in the light of I see you better than you see yourself. And so why can't you just get to the version that I see in you? So I'll mow people down.
Yeah.
Where Evan, on the other hand,
I will connect with everyone and like just want to love up on you, have you see that part of yourself that I see in you, wanting to connect with that, wanting to help build you up.
So that's a good duo for sure.
Because it's a good yin and a yang.
So Oscar and I are
funny.
both Leos, and so we are both pretty heavy-headed and hearted and all the things. But I'm 8 years younger than him, so I just always say he's smarter than me and shuts up before he would have 8 years ago, you know?
Right.
But sometimes that's like for our duo or partnership or whatever, that can kind of be not even an issue, but we don't have that. We're both so strong-willed, you know? And so now I think sometimes it's funny though, because we played good cop, bad cop. Like I'll be like, we're done. We're not doing this, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, okay, hold on. Or he'll do that. And then I'm like, okay, you know, don't say it, just calm down, you know? And it's funny how we like play off of each other like that. But okay, so then
you need that duality.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and that's in going back to that, and like even in our Monday team meeting that we just had with all hands on deck, you know, he messaged, you going to be on there because my flight was delayed. I'm like, no, I'm going to purposely sit this one out because we had a call. I had a call with somebody on Friday who brought feedback from the team to us and how we can do better as leaders, and valuable feedback because we give so much feedback to our team. And any business owner that has team members is you're going to hold them to a higher standard. You're going to give them feedback and tell them how to do better or not do this, do this. And there's different ways to be able to paint that. That's not the point of the conversation. But they oftentimes don't feel a dialogue to be able to give us feedback, or they feel like, oh, this is the C-suite. I'm intimidated. I'm scared. I don't want to give the feedback. What are they going to say? Maybe they might fire me, which is obviously the wrong message.
What was the feedback?
So for,
anything surprising?
Kind of, sort of, yeah. And so for me specifically, and like I go back to that Clifton Gallup Strengths Assessment. This was like early 2020 that I had that, and so now that I recognize that I'm a bulldozer and I come in like, okay, let's check that, right? Within reason, right? And obviously you have to still hold true to that because that's a strength in a sense, but also be aware and recognizing that in conversations. But so one of mine was situational examples of talking about old team members that have left the business that might have fucked something up or didn't do something the right way, or you come up, right? Huge.
Touching on a nerve?
Huge thing, right? She's like, oh my God, right? And so, but like you come
But
into that.
they brought this up.
They brought this, so I would say this in a meeting.
That you were doing. So their feedback was
right?
you were,
Let's call it Bob, right? Okay. So Bob is no longer employed and an issue presents itself that was like 3 months ago that Bob didn't do.
Okay.
And you're like, that motherfucker's a piece of shit. My God, why didn't he just do his job?
Right.
Why didn't he do the work? This is just like,
you
it's
had
simple.
One job, Bob.
Do it.
You have one job,
Come on, Bob. One job.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you say that in a meeting, and now what happens, and this was the additional part of the feedback, is that those team members then become almost, pins and needles.
Right, because they don't want to be Bob someday.
Yeah.
Exactly. They don't want to be Bob someday. And so knowing and recognizing that. So if you're frustrated as a leader, you're frustrated as a manager, you're frustrated in any position where you have individuals that report up to you that may have left the organization, or even maybe in the organization, different departments, right? That was the other one, is okay, different departments have different things, and there might be nuances in there. Just pause. Take a breath, like what you have here, right?
Yep.
Breathe in, breathe out, and then respond back. So now you're not throwing Bob under the bus, even though they're not with you anymore. You still want to love them out the door. Even when they're done and they're out the door, you still want to love them.
Are you loving everyone out the door?
Me? No, we had a conversation.
I'm thinking of
we were having a conversation earlier, kind of in the of like how we have to change as leaders, and like I am sure that someone has listened, like a previous employee or previous peer that I've had a conversation with, or someone that I know from Facebook that I've had a conversation with, that our conversation was different. But how I've changed over the years, and how like I'm actively always working on my opinions and my thoughts, and how vocal I am, and what I should or shouldn't say, or how I feel when someone quit and I overreacted or whatever. And so I think I know that there's someone who's listened to some of these episodes that's just like, she's a liar, and that's not how she is. And they would be right in their time of interaction with me, but I have been actively like seeking to be a better leader and how to respond when those things happen. And so, but you have to be humble. You have to be able to take the feedback and be like, yeah, you're right. Yep. Shouldn't have behaved that way. Because there's definitely sometimes that I have absolutely like said things and been like, I wish I could take that back.
Well, because you do it in emotion. Right?
Yeah, there's emotion. And I think I used to be.
And like, we are emotional.
Yes. And
humans are emotional.
Yeah, yes. We get specifically targeted as being emotional.
I used to be so annoyed.
But it's a superpower.
It is, for sure. I used to be annoyed, like my daughter's cheer team has a rule that if you have feedback or frustrations or whatever, to wait 24 hours. And I don't really ever have issues, but previously if I did, I would be like, I really want to talk to right now.
I thought you were going to say I really never had feedback. And I was like, what?
No, I've never really just had like an issue, but like I'm the one that's like, let's nip it in the butt and let's be done. I want to move on. I don't want to still be wearing this in 24 hours.
Let's not build a story that's bigger than it is.
Because sometimes in 24 hours that can happen. I can create a whole different narrative in 24 hours. But what I have noticed is sometimes I calm down in 24 hours. And so I've tried to just like...
There's a whole perspective shift that you never even thought about.
Or and sometimes even just like an hour. You know, I recently had someone quit that immediately I was like, no, you can't. And let's find all these ways and maybe let's try a different position or let's do this. And then it didn't ultimately work out. But in the end, I kept thinking, this is really how it's supposed to be. But in the first 5 minutes, I was super reactive of, but. And instead of just like letting it set for a little bit and decide that should be.
And it's so hard to sit on things and sleep on things for a while. But it's definitely... There's wisdom in that.
So how do you balance that as an owner then? Because there are times where you need to be reactive. There are times where you have time and space to be able to think on it and pause and reflect and all of those things and do the breath work and all the spiritual practices that we should do to regulate ourselves. But how do you balance that as an owner when you need to make these decisions to continue to move your business forward? And sometimes they're emotional decisions.
Well, I can speak a little bit on that. And I always hesitate to give advice. I can just like only talk about what we've done as a couple because we're in business together. Not Cassie and I, but me and Brent.
Yeah.
I mean, technically we have a business.
You know, when you're married and you own a business, you kind of live there all the time. And that's okay. We always talk about balance. There's not. There's phases to that. Like for us in the past 98 days, we lost our service manager. And at the very same time, we have changed our operational model. So we both had to get right back on the ground inside of our business where we had some margin and some people between us. And what I realized, because for me, I'm very different from Brent. We do things very differently. We have the same goals, but we get there completely differently. And this has only been recently, that I had to really look at what is not working. Because I know I can get burned out too, because we went through, just personally, I had like a pretty traumatic year. But then when our service manager passed, what that meant for us and how tragic it was, and then navigating 23 employees around that death, like there's no manual for that, because they were all heartbroken. And not only for Brent was it his manager, it was his friend, because they worked so closely together. So all of that got tied up into that. And, you know, we just had to just like, at that time, and I will say things have leveled out now. It was like, okay, what is the next best thing that we can do today? Because we are not going to figure out how to roll with this today. What is the next best thing in our business? What's the next best thing personally? And for me, because of the way we work together, like he is on the ground and I am definitely behind the scenes and connecting and working on strategy and things like that. And he does that too. My weakness, I will say as an owner, and you can probably say this about me, is when I got back on the ground with my people, because of the way I'm made, I started absorbing everyone's emotions. And like, it's a gift, but it's not a gift as a business owner when you're trying to make really tactical decisions, because we're creating an exit plan, and we're very strategic now, you know? So I realized, okay, I need to replace myself. So I brought up Andrea, and now she's head of operations. So everything I was doing, she is doing, because I found that I could not balance 23 people's emotions and mine and still be a mom, a wife, and a business owner.
I think that's
just
balance.
the way that I made.
I think you just have to recognize what you can handle.
Yeah.
And
I was holding us back.
Well,
I used to
anyone
be
that's empathetic would
terrible.
live with that.
I used to be terrible at like everything. Like people would be like, so what do you do for quality? And I was like, LOL, like everything, you know, because I did everything. And like marketing, for example, I had the people that did it, and I had Kaylee, but I wasn't really letting Kaylee do her job, you know? And so now I've been able to empower Kaylee to do her job because I'm letting her do it, and she'll just come to me for questions or advice or sometimes permission or whatever, but I'm not micromanaging the day-to-day of it anymore, and it's successful, you know, but I had to find the balance of like what I could hold, and I couldn't hold it all anymore.
How'd you let go of that? Because that's not easy either.
The marketing or just anything?
Like, because to step back from the micromanaging, like, I can do it better than you can.
Yeah. We had to have a really hard conversation with ourselves of we are killing ourselves.
Yes.
And if and no one wants to hear you say it when you say it like this, but if we are going to pay managers, we have two options. We either let them manage or we don't and keep doing it. And why don't we just make a higher salary for ourselves then if we're going to do it?
Well, then you work yourself to the ground.
And then you work yourself to the ground. And so, and that option B wasn't the plan,
right?
But it was like, and so our next star coach was really good about that, like really pushing us of like, let them manage. And so for us, what we had to do to allow that to happen was we had to physically leave the office. And so this summer was really like a pivotal moment for that. Like, I think for a little bit, some of our team was like, what are the pounds doing? You know, like, do they still work here? But we had to be missing. We had to not be there. We were managing the company still. We were still paying attention, but we were letting the managers manage. Because if I was there, I'm like in the call center, like, bruh, what's happening over here? You know, I'm inside here doing this and that and whatever. And now I'm there and I'm still paying attention to those things, but I'm not letting it consume every ounce of me. Because if it's 1 o'clock and we haven't sold anything yet today, and I'm going to be like up, and before I was up like hounding everybody, I'm still probably going to do that now, but they've already got it like 3 times from a manager before me. So it's not just, we have to sell this because Cassie said so, you know, or
and you know what it is for me, like you're using the example of at 1 o'clock if we haven't sold anything. I almost quit looking at the daily and I only look at the weekly. It like all comes out in the wash weekly for us. We can measure now. Certainly, we have the capability and the automation, and our call by call manager who we've empowered, she's looking at that, and that all leads to a super processed way of selling. But I have had to quit looking at this is probably going to go against what everyone says, our dashboard. Like, it's almost like I'm inviting negativity if I try to like every second.
My life has been built around a dashboard.
I know.
Because I previously worked for Best Buy, and that's how I was like trained to like follow the revenue. We had hourly check-in, hourly updates. We had to print the scorecard and look at it and
I
see
feel
what
like
our
you live in
was.
survival mode like that.
You do.
When you're constantly, and I have to let other people do that because I've tasked them with it. But even with Brent anymore, because he'll take phone calls at home, because he's still very much because of what happened, he's down on the ground with the guys. He's not turning a wrench, but he takes their calls, and I almost have to go to the other room because I am having to create this separation in my life where I'm like, you know what? Don't tell me unless you need me. Or say, hey, I just want you to listen. And he'll go, can you just listen? And I don't need advice. And I'll go, okay, perfect. Like,
that's a big thing too. Is don't tell me if you don't need me.
The 3 H's. You know, do you want to be heard? Do you want to be helped? And I forget what the other one was, but it came into my mind earlier. But
heard, helped, or
hurt, helped, or
Hit.
hug. No, hug. That's what it is. Heard, helped, or hugged.
Gotcha.
Do you want to be heard, helped, or hugged, right? And that's
fourth age.
No. Well, heard, helped, or hugged, right? And but you look at that, it's like, okay, do you want to be, and like that's relationship aspect of things. Do you want to be heard? Do you want to be helped, or do you want to be hugged? And sometimes you just need a hug. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you want to be helped. Most of the time, you just want to be heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's wild to me the things that, like, going back to like being able to like step out, that I watched our team accomplish, and then the guilt that comes with it of like, idiot. Like if you would have just let them do it sooner.
Well, man, it's a journey.
It is a journey.
And you go through seasons. Even, we were talking about. I can't remember what we were talking about. Seasons in your business.
Right.
You have seasons in your business where you're growing, then you kind of plateau, maybe you're making it operational, you're investing, whatever it is. But even seasons as the owner. Mm-hmm. Like, don't you feel that way?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's like, I'm on fire or I'm not. But now, thankfully, when I was on fire, I hired someone else who could be really hot while I'm not on fire, to care.
And it goes back to like, what did we change, right? And you're talking about yourself and doing that, like that introspective look. And like some people that might have seen you 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, you're not the same Cassie. Mm-hmm. And that's okay because the seasons of the business. Mm-hmm. And when you learn and you grow from those challenges, the biggest thing is, okay, well, does somebody recognize me from 4 years ago to today? Right. And
would you recognize yourself?
Would you recognize yourself? But that's also what's the book that I'm referencing? You talked about this the other day, Gap in the Gain.
Oh, that's such a good book.
Right. Great book. But you look at that and a lot of people are focused on, okay, well, I'm going to hit this horizon. I'm going to get there. Oh, yeah. But guess what happens when you're driving to the horizon?
It keeps
going. But if you stop and you pause and you go back, you're like, holy shit, look how far I've driven.
Was it you today that posted... Yep. What did you post today? It was such a good question. Like, what would you tell you? Would you change anything? What was your post today? Would you change anything if you started?
So caveat, I wrote a long list of like 70 questions and just tasked that to our social media manager and said, post these.
I think it was...
he doesn't know.
If you could start in the beginning, what would you change
He's gonna look.
of your HVAC business? And I don't. Honestly, I don't comment anything.
It was actually funny is we were on with Stacy and Mike earlier, and I had my phone up because I was texting you guys like, hey, we're going to be late. By the way, thank you for being accommodating. And I saw it come up my screen. It's like, Evan Hoffman just posted.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, yeah, right, team, right?
Yeah.
But it was so good, and I was
go
like,
back in time, what advice would you give yourself before starting your business?
There's a different, what would you change? There was one of them was like, what would you change?
Yeah. Right.
And I thought about it, I'm like, I wouldn't change anything because I never would have gotten here.
Right.
Yeah. And that's why I was talking to someone today. I get quite a few, like, especially women that reach out to me just like asking me things or whatever. And I'm always so hesitant to give advice because I don't know if I could recommend what Brent and I did in 5 years because we had such a high level for risk.
My advice today at a $10 million, almost $11 million company is not the same as my advice when we were $2 million. And if my advice right now, it scares me because my advice changes so often.
Which it should, and because what you have learned has built the business that you're at.
But it's like scares me because we see these people, especially in these social media groups where they are like, sometimes just like running with the flame of what everyone else is saying. And then in 3 months, they are totally contradicting themselves. And I feel like that's so freaking dangerous when you have these people that are learning how to run a business or really seeking and they're running with everything that you've said. Was it the same thing?
That's what he said. Yeah. I just read it differently.
Well, you still.
I thought it said, "What would you change if you were to go back?"
That's fascinating too, though, right? Is because what is the filter that we're viewing everything that happens in our life
I think you edited the post. I think it said if you could go back in time, what would you change?
Look at the edit history now
before starting your HVAC business. And I actually haven't technically started an HVAC business yet.
But it's still a business.
Yeah.
It's still a business. I mean,
read
you're still
it
in the trades, right? But I mean, even
but you still interpret it and you...
we will. We're like about to. I'm just saying.
His post worked because he was provoking thought. Yeah. You know, it's funny because I use my social media, my personal Facebook page to engage for all of our businesses. And people all the time will be like, you post everything. And I was like, I'll talk about that. And one time I posted something about like this city work that's happening and someone was like,
about your
the highway.
The City of Mounds or something?
No, it was the highway. And someone commented about how, like, if you read the newspaper or listened, basically whatever, like I should have done the research. And I'm like, but honey, I literally was just hoping for your engagement. Yeah. And that was it.
I didn't need to read it.
I didn't actually care so much, but I was looking for engagement from the people in our area to make sure you're still seeing my posts, because Correct. I'm actually still trying to sell you HVAC services and plumbing, Correct. Right? Because sometimes my Facebook, it's funny to watch the algorithm of my Facebook like flip-flop, because I have so much personal local stuff, but then I have such a huge following of people nationally.
In Canada.
I'm
international.
No doubt about it, eh?
Internationally
I got fans
known.
Wait,
internationally.
what did you say?
No doubt about it, eh?
Sometimes he'll say stuff, I'm like, what is that?
Yeah.
That's my
What'd you say
Canadian
the other day? You
slang.
said something the other day and I didn't know what it was.
Take off your hoser.
What is that?
Gooder.
Maybe
that. Take off your hoser means get fucked. I mean, I had to kind of. I'm sorry, we're like ruining your engagement with swearing all the time. You're gonna bleep these out,
We're gonna
right?
put an explicit warning on yours.
We have to edit it. We have to edit too because we cuss.
Sorry, Rita.
Yeah, we do. They bleep us on TikTok. It was cute though. I love not me, Stacy.
Isn't it funny in the transcript they always put fucked as FUGGED?
They did that to her. I guess I haven't watched that.
Hilarious.
Yeah,
I love it though. I thought it was funny. Maddox, my son, was cracking up at it too. Okay, so
Toonie. That's probably what it said.
What is that?
A toonie is our $2 coin.
So there's a loonie is a $1 coin, and a toonie is a $2 coin.
Yes, so where y'all have
That's what it was.
bills, yeah, we have coins instead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
what
They
it
work
was.
way better at the strippers.
Split it.
Okay, so reining it back in, because On Purpose Media is
Getting it okay.
is a sponsor of Power Women of the Trades podcast.
Yes.
Oh, getting the notes out. We're getting official here.
I know.
No, I don't need these notes.
Did y'all write these or did Rita
Hey,
write these?
I got a curious to
You
see
wanna
what
read
they
them?
say.
I did not.
But I do have a
Yeah,
question, because I have an interesting perspective of you guys. Would you like my review?
Yeah, 100%.
No,
Let's hear it.
okay.
I need to hear this.
No,
I-
raw, real, and authentic.
Knew that there was a podcast called HVAC Secrets Revealed. Okay.
Yep.
And it took me a really long time to realize that was connected to On Purpose Media.
Yep.
Okay. But I think that you guys are probably the most strategic. I don't want to give away your game, but maybe
away their game.
I'm not giving away their game.
What's
I'm
their
just
game?
recognizing. I think
Game
probably the
recognized
most
game.
strategic marketing company in our space, because you have the podcast, you have the things, and you have the business, right? But I don't feel like you're having to sell your soul for the business. I think you're just getting the business, and by your proof, proofs in the pudding, I guess, or whatever.
They might not understand that they're Canadian.
No, I get
Have you
it.
heard
But
proofs in the
where I
pudding?
feel like sometimes I used to get so frustrated. It's like every time we turn around, there's a new marketing guy, and then they're like, "Oh, we can
But
get you
who?
so
Who you
many leads right now." And 20 that one guy,
Oh, we
remember?
can get you 15 new install
And then
appointment
installs,
leads
and then
next
that
week.
one
Can
guy-
you get us 15 new installers? Because that's what we need. We don't need leads. We need installers.
I had this one guy, like, he messaged me,
Sold.
and he had a picture of himself standing by the river with a cell phone. He was holding the phone, and it's like he was like posing himself.
He's spamming you because he's all in mine, and they're under different names with the same picture.
Yeah, and it's just like, no, he is.
Oh, yeah,
And so
I know who you're talking
and
about.
I
I think I know
literally
it's
am
like
like-
I
and
got
then
like 5
he-
friend requests from the same person.
he would
And
post
he'll
things,
change his first name but leave the last name the same.
but he would post like how he's like knows all the things about the trades. I wanted to start like really questioning him like about the trade, but
Yeah, 100%.
the whole time I was like, you look like you're 4 years
Oh,
old.
because I was like, he hasn't even had his first beer yet.
I don't even know if he has a mustache.
Yeah.
Or he would know. I mean, you don't have to have a mustache, but
No, but you need
know.
hair on your balls at least.
But it was just like, but everybody can start. I get it. You can start wherever you want to start from, and you can learn. But it's like we have been so like ran over by these
Right.
marketing companies
Absolutely.
that are, and I know y'all fight this, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have to deal with it, and then or
I
someone.
would hate, honestly, I'm really good friends with Brian Redding. Actually, I'm really good friends with all the guys, but Josh
The real
is
ones, right?
Josh
Yeah,
is our
actually,
guy,
yeah.
so I've been with him. But Ryan Redding is our personal friend,
Yeah.
and we actually saw him last week, and I was like, I literally cannot think of a worse job to have than what you guys have.
Right.
Because whereas it's like such a small room. You've got one upset contractor, and he's telling everyone without any context.
With no context. And then it's like, well, you said, what blows my mind too is it's like, someone said this to me once, like, I can get you up to the plate to bat, but you have to swing the bat and you have to hit the ball, and then you have to run, and then you have to
and
keep
good
trying
marketing
to get
does
to,
not
you have to keep getting to running
cover
to
up
home
that
plate.
operation.
And
No, it
good
definitely
marketing does not cover that up. And so you have to fix operationally. And so whenever it makes me crazy when I hear some of these people like, this guy sucks and he did this and this, and I've literally listened to him, and I'm like, but
what did you do?
What did you do? Who's answering your phones?
Right.
You?
Have you listened to any of your calls? Do
Right.
you listen to your CSRs? Like,
Right.
But I still feel like you guys have like proven not only that On Purpose Media is a premium provider, right? But like, I don't know. It's like
the way that you've done it, the way you've
done a really good job
like
marketing
super guerrilla.
both.
Yeah.
Marketing both to be the same, because like I said, I didn't even realize they were the same.
Right.
Do you get
But I
most
was
of your
brought in from
customers
here.
at the trade shows, or now is it just referrals? Or is it
Podcasts.
listeners?
Podcast. And so like, I will be the first to admit that I think that we've, like what you just described, there's a disconnect between On-Purpose Media and HVAC Success Secrets Revealed that we've probably done a little bit of a disservice, and that's why we've started to, hey, On-Purpose Media sponsors the random question generator and bringing that in. At the same time, though, we don't push people into doing business with us.
Maybe it was
we want
smart,
to pull
though.
people. We want to pull people, right? And so, but when we do that, like one of our core values, lead with value first. You know, that's one of our core values of our 5 that we have inside of our business. And when you lead with value first, and when you can educate, and you can pull people towards you, now you're going to actually have a stronger product, especially in the marketing game with what you just described. There's a lot of people that say, I'll give you 15 installs this week, guaranteed, or your money back. It's like, well, yeah, okay, it's pretty easy to run on Facebook ads.
Right.
I can get you 300 leads at $5 a lead, but are they actually good leads to be able to
Right.
grow your business? And so it's always an uphill battle. And so how do you position yourself differently as a company, right? What's your value proposition? What can you do there? And like when we started in the space, and I think the original question was like, were you always in the trades? Well, no, we were not. We started with local businesses, and then in September 2020, we're like, okay, well, we've had an HVAC client. We're crushing it for Facebook ads. Spoiler alert, we don't do Facebook ads anymore. Fuck Facebook.
Amen.
Yeah, they're just Meta or whatever they're called now. It's insane. And like,
Yeah,
you know,
we
if
don't do
you can,
Facebook ads.
Facebook ads can be done the right way. You just have to have the person actually answer the call and call them right within
Well,
like
and
three,
again,
like 2 minutes,
Is
right?
it like
goal that you're
But,
trying to
Angie's
but
List?
what's the goal, right? And so like when you look at the trades, it's like, okay, you know, we're pretty blue collar with a white collar polish is what I always call it. And so like,
Ooh.
right? And so but
Blue
like
collar,
there
I
there
like
are
that.
people, right? And so it's never really felt like it's
Blue
for me-
collar with a white collar car.
Right. And so, but for me
We can take this
personally,
a lot
like
of ways.
I can be myself in our space. I can be myself. Like if I were to work with lawyers, fuck me. No
I
thanks.
talk to too many lawyers
I'm
and
wearing-
insurance agents
I'm
these
wearing
days.
I'm wearing shorts and a
Realtors.
t-shirt right now. If I were to show up to do a podcast with lawyers, I have to wear a suit. Don't get me wrong, I love wearing a suit. It feels comfortable, especially with like the right tailor-made shit. But man, like I just love shorts and a t-shirt. It feels
Right.
way more comfortable. I don't have to change when I get home
You
and
get to
done my
be who
day,
you are.
right? You get to be who you are. But it's really about that pull, because you know what? I could push, and Evan does most of our sales now. I've removed myself from sales as I work on more of the operational side of things. It's easy to push somebody into buying your service, especially in marketing. But are they going to be happy? Or are they going to be upset? Likely. But if you pull them in and they make the decision, now you've got a longer term client for us. And that's kind of where we've always, at least myself anyways, and I think Evan had the same philosophy, is when you pull people into that, now you've got an even better relationship with those individuals.
I just had like this epiphany, this rebranding epiphany for you guys.
Oh,
Let's hear it.
You're giving out.
Let's hear it. No,
marketing
I
let's
just
hear
feel
it.
like if HVAC Secrets Revealed brings you primarily your customers, that you need to be revealed media or revealed marketing or revealed.
revealed marketing.
Revealed.
Another marketing company that starts with R.
Yeah.
I
hear you
right
on that.
about that.
I hear you on that.
Relentless.
Colonel.
Rhino.
So
You know what I mean? Or like something that like ties into the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
But either way,
But-
I think you still are doing a good job of like showing that they're the same. Because like
Right.
I said, at first I didn't know that.
yeah. We
But-
made a lot of
We
made a lot
went
of
to all
strides
black
lately, yeah.
and pink branding on purpose, right?
Yeah, I
And,
like that.
I mean, the name On Purpose Media was meant to be like get off self, get on purpose,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like everything is purpose driven behind what it is that we do,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's with clients, whether it's internal, like it's all about that higher why. And that's what drives us. That's what drives.
I think I'm going to start a marketing company and call it Primetime Marketing.
We're big fans
and it's
of
just going to be
right
his little nuggets of wisdom.
Yeah, he's so good. We love him. Are you
going to sell leads?
I don't know. I think I'm just going to say whatever he says.
We're going to sell.
I'm obsessed with him right now.
Our coaching services. We're going to start being coaches.
There you go.
Y'all know who we're talking. You're talking Coach Primetime.
Deion Sanders.
Like Deion?
Yes. I'm.
She's not a football girl. Can you tell?
And I have started watching football because of him and everything. Do you guys? Well, you're not on TikTok. Do you not? Does his stuff not come up and like all the leadership that he provides for his team?
We're gonna blast you with the TikTok.
Now it will. Now it will.
Yeah, because they're always listening. But no, I've been following Primetime since he was in University of Florida State.
He's so great.
He's good. He's so good.
Just say
he had great things to say back then.
I'm telling you, okay, so I'm going to sound silly because I don't know how to talk about football, but I did sit down and watch the game on Saturday, and they totally
they got destroyed by Oregon?
Yeah, but his post-game interview, that's what I was like, this is when we're really going to get to see what he was made of, and it was just so good. It was like, it was just so good, and I'm like, I want him to be my coach.
Well, and did you see his post game after they beat Colorado State when his mom came up there?
No.
Oh yeah, and his mom was like, I raised him, and whenever the coach was running his mouth about raising, my mom didn't raise me to sit with sunglasses on or whatever.
Yeah.
And he was like, I raised him, and his mom was running her mouth back, and I was like, my girl.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
She came up in there and said it straight, and it was
I have
great.
to send you the TikTok that is like 3 minutes long, and we won't. It's a 3-minute TikTok, but it is. I meant to send it to you last night, but I'd sent you a video, and I wanted to make sure you watched the video first.
I sent you one about him last night.
Yeah,
every day I send one.
Every day, but about
he does
how,
the same for me. I check it once every 4 days.
And you don't look at it.
About how we're missing. That God's using him right now. You're gonna have to.
I have seen that. I believe
about
it.
how
100%.
because everyone knows his name, and if you listen to him, he's like.
Because it's not about football. That's what nobody understands. What's happening is not about football.
It's about
and I always say that to Brim, like, this isn't about plumbing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, it's and it's funny because that's something that we were taught when we sold Cutco. Mm-hmm. They always said it's not about the knives, it's about the lives, and like that was the management motto. That's what we lived by. Was we were molding young people, and my life forever changed because I sold Cutco knives. Mm-hmm.
Didn't you say you did it with Justin Donald? Didn't
Absolutely.
we have a conversation?
Yeah.
Okay, so is that how he started, and now he's a big investor? And
Absolutely. He started at Cutco.
Yeah. Lots of great, successful individuals have started at Cutco.
Like, who are some of them?
Travis, what's his nuts, that started Uber.
Oh.
He sold Cutco.
That's how I feel about Best Buy.
Yeah.
I hate it. I was super young. Like
John Rulin.
Yeah.
He wrote the book Giftology. He's a friend of Tommy Mello's as well. Phenomenal book, by the way. If you want to learn about
Giftology, yeah.
So it's the idea and the strategy of strategic gift giving.
Wait a second.
This is for Leslie.
I give a lot of gifts.
She's a gift giver. That's her love language.
Tell me about it.
So it's.
Oh, we have a gift.
Not scripted. We were like, we're gonna open this earlier.
We have a gift. But
Well, wait, I want to say this before we open, like, just so our listeners know, when Cassie did that very first post announcing that we were starting a podcast, and if you wanted to help us or whatever, these guys were the very first guys within like probably 5 minutes that said, hey, how can we support you guys? They were our very first sponsor.
And it's still like, don't make me get emotional because I already had an emotional day and I'm not one to show emotion.
It's okay. You can cry.
But there's
it's your show. You can do what you want.
Right. There's a couple things that are profound about that, because not only were you guys the first people to say that you were going to sponsor us, but like support us, even if it wasn't monetarily, like supporting us, right? But you were men that did it first. Like, we didn't even hear it from women first. And that kind of sucked at first for us, of like, where's our girls? But then recognizing that it didn't really matter anymore at that point. So like, you guys were truly like right there up there saying, hey, we got you. We're going to do whatever.
Like, I can't believe people want to sponsor us.
It's almost like a little bit of an imposter syndrome.
Yes. It was
really
something.
Well, right, especially on some of it,
I remember having the conversation, and y'all were trying to do like a sales pitch for us, and like, we don't have any downloads, or
and then
we have no listeners. We don't have a first episode.
You don't know what's gonna happen.
Before we had talked to you, like on scheduling, you guys were the first to say it, but we had a meeting with someone the way the scheduling works. So we had met with someone, and that person kept asking, well, how many downloads do you suspect? And we're like, our husbands?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Two. Well,
We know
maybe
two.
4. We know 4
We
for
don't,
sure.
we don't know. Well, we just really know that we have a voice, and like we've spent the past couple years like building our own personal brands and, you know, whatever. And they're like, okay. And I'm like, that, I know that's a hard sell.
Yep.
Like, you know, you just got to kind of trust us.
This has been Power Women of the Trades. Like what you hear so far? Leave us a review at Apple, and make sure to listen to our other episodes wherever you enjoy listening to your podcasts. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.